Have you ever caught yourself hesitating before visiting someone you used to see all the time? Maybe you've noticed a quiet shift, a subtle pull towards staying home, choosing solitude, or simply opting out of social gatherings you once attended without a second thought. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. In today's video, we're diving into something that many people over 65 experience, but rarely talk about openly. Why you might not feel like visiting others as much anymore, and why that's perfectly okay. It's not about becoming reclusive or giving up on relationships. In fact, what we're about to explore is a reflection of wisdom, self-awareness, and knowing what truly matters at this stage in life. We'll uncover 6 heartfelt reasons, ranging from conserving energy for meaningful interactions to valuing the comfort of your own home, that explain this natural evolution in your social habits. Each reason comes with relatable real-life examples and a fresh perspective that might just give you the words you've been looking for to describe your own feelings. So if you've ever felt a twinge of guilt for saying no to a visit, or questioned whether pulling back means you're losing touch, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only feel validated, but empowered to honor your time, your peace, and your priorities without apology. Let's begin this honest and uplifting conversation and help each other feel seen, respected, and understood. 1. Prioritizing energy for meaningful relationships. As we grow older, one of the most powerful realizations we come to is that our energy is no longer a limitless resource. What used to feel effortless, driving across town for a chat, spending hours at family functions, or keeping up with everyone in our social circle, now takes a noticeable toll. It's not that we've lost interest in people, it's that we've gained clarity on how we want to invest our limited energy. You see, energy becomes a kind of currency with age, and much like our finances, we start to spend it more carefully. Instead of stretching ourselves thin to keep up with every casual friend, every event, and every invitation, we begin asking, who brings light into my life? Who makes me feel heard, appreciated, and at ease? This shift doesn't mean we stop caring about others. It means we stop putting pressure on ourselves to maintain every connection just for the sake of appearances. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever pushed yourself to go somewhere just because you felt you should, only to return home feeling drained or even resentful? Many people over 65 share this same experience. And the truth is, choosing to say no in those moments isn't selfish. It's wise. Instead of measuring social success by how many people we keep up with, we begin to measure it by how deep and meaningful our interactions feel. It's no longer about quantity, it's about quality. Aging offers the freedom to surround ourselves with those who lift us up, not those who leave us exhausted. We don't need a packed calendar to feel valued. We need connections that bring warmth, authenticity, and joy. So if you've found yourself prioritizing fewer, deeper relationships over broader social circles, trust that instinct. It's a sign of growth, not retreat. It means you're valuing your time, your health, and your heart, and that's something to be proud of. 2. Avoiding unnecessary stress and conflict. One of the great gifts that aging brings is clarity, the ability to recognize what's truly worth your time and emotional investment. And for many older adults, that means learning to walk away from situations and people that consistently bring stress, tension, or emotional exhaustion. There may have been a time when you felt obligated to show up, even if the environment wasn't healthy. Maybe you tolerated passive-aggressive remarks, sat through family dinners filled with arguments, or endured conversations laced with gossip and criticism, just to keep the peace. But as we get older, preserving our peace becomes more important than pleasing everyone. Here's the truth. You don't have to attend every gathering where conflict is waiting at the door. You don't have to engage in conversations that feel like emotional landmines. You no longer need to just put up with it, because that's what's expected. Choosing to avoid unnecessary stress is not being cold or distant. It's being wise and self-respecting. Let's face it, our emotional bandwidth shrinks as we age, not because we're weak, But because we've learned that peace of mind is priceless, there's a limit to how much emotional noise we're willing to tolerate, and that limit is a healthy boundary. Take Helen, for example, a woman who used to visit certain relatives out of duty, but every visit left her drained. Over time, she realized that love doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being. She started choosing spaces and people that made her feel safe, heard, and appreciated. And for the first time in years, socializing felt joyful again. If spending time with someone leaves you feeling worse rather than better, it's okay to take a step back. Relationships that require you to sacrifice your emotional health aren't sustainable. And more importantly, they're not your responsibility to fix. At this stage in life, you've earned the right to protect your peace. And when you do, you open the door to deeper, more nurturing relationships. The kind that bring light instead of weight. 3. Finding comfort in familiar spaces. There's a special kind of peace that comes from being in your own home, a feeling of safety, familiarity, and ease that can't be replicated anywhere else. As we age, this sense of comfort becomes more than just a preference. It becomes a priority. In our younger years, there's a strong social pull to always be out and about, attending events, visiting friends, hopping from one place to the next. But over time, that urge begins to fade, replaced by a deeper appreciation for the calm, quiet, and control that your home provides. You know where everything is. You can move at your own pace. Your favorite chair, your morning coffee mug, your preferred thermostat setting. These small comforts form the rhythm of daily life. And sometimes the thought of disrupting that routine to sit in someone else's space, making small talk in a noisy or unfamiliar setting, simply doesn't appeal anymore. This doesn't mean you're avoiding people or becoming isolated. It means you're honoring your need for comfort, both physical and emotional. Many older adults find that their energy is better preserved and their spirits more lifted when they invite people into their own space rather than venturing out. Take Bill, for instance. He used to feel guilty every time he declined a dinner invitation, but he realized those outings often left him drained, counting the minutes until he could return home. Eventually, he started inviting friends over instead, on his own terms. Conversations became richer, visits more enjoyable, and he no longer had to compromise his comfort to stay socially connected. Choosing your home as your sanctuary doesn't mean you're retreating from life. On the contrary, it means you've built a space so aligned with your peace and values that it naturally becomes your favorite place to be. So if you find yourself preferring your own cozy corner to someone else's couch, embrace it. Comfort is not laziness, it's wisdom. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to enjoy your days in a space that makes you feel most like yourself. 4th, valuing quality over quantity in social relationships. When you're younger, social life often feels like a numbers game. A full calendar, dozens of acquaintances, and constant activity are seen as signs of a successful and connected life. But as we grow older, we begin to understand something deeper. What truly matters isn't how many people surround us, but how those people make us feel. You begin to crave authenticity over activity. It's no longer about being invited to every party or replying to every message. What matters more is the sincerity behind the conversations, the warmth in shared moments, and the mutual respect that forms the foundation of lasting bonds. With age comes the freedom to let go of superficial connections, the ones held together by convenience, habit, or guilt. Many older adults describe the joy of trimming their social circles down to a few meaningful relationships that uplift rather than drain them. Think about it. How many people have you spent time with over the years simply out of obligation? How many of those relationships were truly nourishing? Take Nancy, for example. She once felt pressure to constantly check in, call people, or go out of her way to maintain a wide web of friends. But over time, she realized that her most fulfilling connections were with those who didn't require constant maintenance. Friends who understood her rhythm, respected her time, and brought peace, not pressure. The beauty of these relationships is that they don't demand frequent visits or constant contact. You might go weeks without speaking, yet when you reconnect, it feels as if no time has passed. This kind of social simplicity isn't isolation, it's wisdom. It's knowing that you no longer have to prove your worth by how many people you keep up with. Instead, you can invest your time and heart into the people who matter most. So if your circle has grown smaller, don't see it as a loss. See it as a refining process. What remains are the relationships that are real, rooted, and rewarding. And those are the ones that truly stand the test of time. 5. A shift in life priorities and making time for yourself. One of the most liberating changes that comes with age is the ability to reshape your priorities. After years or even decades of putting others first, attending every family event, meeting social expectations, or chasing goals, you finally have the freedom to ask, what do I want now? For many people over 65, that question marks the beginning of a beautiful, personal transformation. It's not that you stop caring about others, it's that you start caring for yourself in a more intentional way. Suddenly, the need to be seen or socially active fades. You start valuing quiet mornings, meaningful solitude, and time to explore things you once put off, whether it's a long-forgotten hobby, reading a book without interruption, or simply sitting in your favorite chair watching the birds outside your window. This isn't about isolation, it's about self-honoring. You're no longer driven by social pressure or the urge to stay in the loop. Instead, your days are built around what feels peaceful and purposeful. And that might mean saying no to events that no longer excite you and yes to a walk in the garden, a midday nap, or listening to music that lifts your soul. Robert is a great example. After a lifetime of being the life of the party, always present and involved, he realized he'd been neglecting what brought him inner peace. Now in his 70s, he spends more time in nature, enjoys journaling, and only says yes to things that align with his well-being. He isn't withdrawing from life, he's finally living it on his terms. This shift in priorities isn't a loss, it's a gain. It's the realization that you don't need to explain your choices to anyone, and that fulfillment doesn't come from checking boxes, but from honoring what truly matters to you now. So if you've found yourself cherishing your own time more, know this: it's not selfish, it's sacred, and it's a sign that you're embracing the life stage you're in with intention and grace. 6. Realizing that true friendships don't require frequent visits. One of the most reassuring truths we come to understand with age is this: the most meaningful friendships don't depend on how often you see each other. They're built on something much deeper. In earlier stages of life, we're often led to believe that staying close means constant contact. Phone calls, holiday visits, shared dinners, all wonderful, but sometimes maintained more out of routine or guilt than genuine connection. As we grow older, we begin to notice that our truest friends are those who remain in our hearts, even when they're not always in the room. Think about it. There are people you may not have spoken to in months, yet when you reconnect, it feels like no time has passed. That kind of bond doesn't come from frequency. It comes from trust, mutual understanding, and shared history. You've likely experienced this shift. Maybe you've stopped attending every gathering or felt guilty for not checking in as often. But those who truly care about you never make you feel bad for choosing peace or personal space. They understand that life changes, routines shift, and that friendship isn't about appearances. It's about presence when it matters. Eleanor, for example, used to worry that scaling back her visits would weaken her relationships. But what she found was the opposite. Her real friends didn't need constant reassurance. They valued her for who she was, not how often she showed up. And when they did see each other, the connection was real, heartfelt, and effortless. This realization can be incredibly freeing. You no longer feel pressure to keep up or perform friendship like it's a duty. Instead, you nurture the bonds that feel safe and sincere, even if they're held together by phone calls, handwritten notes, or quiet memories rather than weekly visits. So if you're finding comfort in fewer meetups and more meaningful moments, embrace it. It's not a sign that you're pulling away. It's a sign that your relationships have matured, just like you have. In the end, the best friendships are never measured by how often we meet, but by how deeply we care. And that kind of love doesn't fade with distance or time. As we close this conversation, let's take a moment to reflect on something important. Choosing to visit others less frequently as you age is not a sign of selfishness or disconnection. It's a sign of wisdom, growth, and self-respect. Whether you're conserving your energy for meaningful relationships, avoiding unnecessary conflict, finding comfort in your own space, prioritizing quality over quantity in friendships, making more time for yourself, or recognizing that true bonds don't need constant tending, each of these shifts reflects a life lived with intention. The beauty of growing older is that you've earned the freedom to live life on your terms. You're no longer bound by social expectations or guilt-driven obligations. Instead, you have the clarity to invest your time and heart where they matter most. In today's fast-paced, always connected culture, it can feel countercultural to slow down and say no more often. But the truth is, peace, presence, and purpose often come when we stop chasing and start choosing with care and confidence. So if you find joy in staying home more, cherishing fewer but deeper friendships, or simply honoring your own rhythm, trust that instinct. You're not withdrawing, you're evolving. At this stage in life, every moment is precious. And when you spend your time in ways that align with your values, you're not missing out. You're showing up for yourself in the most meaningful way. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this message resonated with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're embracing this beautiful chapter of life. And remember, real connection doesn't require constant presence. It only needs a genuine heart.